Welcome to Life in the Bricks podcast, where we talk to real people about programs that enhance our community so that we can build bigger and better portfolios while providing options for our residents to achieve self-sufficiency. I'm your host, Tony McGinnis, Executive Director, CEO with the Huntsville Housing Authority.
Welcome. This is another episode of Life in the Bricks podcast, where we talk to real people about real ways to make a positive impact on our residents. And I'm excited about today because I have a young man who's going to be joining us that's going to share some knowledge on how to become a business owner. I think this young man has a lot of knowledge to share. Little brother to me, but I think he's doing some great things that our residents will be able to benefit from. And so without further ado, I want to welcome Jeremiah Sidney to Life in the Bricks podcast. Jeremiah, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Tony. It's a pleasure to be able to work with you on this project, join you here today.
Oh man, it's a pleasure having you, man. I just want to jump right into it. Just kind of give us a background on your company, man. Where you from? Just anything that you want to share about what you're able to do right now, and we'll dive into this conversation a little deeper.
All right. Well, as most know, of course, I'm from Huntsville, Alabama, born and raised. I haven't been back in a long time, and my family had a health food store out there, Garden Cove Produce Center, for 33 years. We're well involved in the community out there and in the church at First Seventh-day Adventist Church out there. After college, I moved to Florida, worked in accounting for a while. Then I moved down to Las Vegas, and I was still working in my field that I graduated college in up until about the pandemic. When the pandemic started, it was kind of a difficult time for everyone in just trying to find, a lot of times you might be adjusting your hustle, trying to find a different route, a different source of income, a different path in life. And that was kind of what the situation for me was. I was unhappy where I was working. I got furloughed off of my job, as many out here did. And I was just looking for a new source of income. And it really just kind of fell into my lap. A buddy of mine was like, he was making some money in New Jersey doing the COVID sanitation, where he'd go in and he would spray down facilities where people might have been sick or might have passed away due to the coronavirus. So he was like, Jeremiah, let's see if you can make some money. I'll see you down some of these machines and see what you could do with it. So I said, okay, well, what the hell? We'll see. He sends me down these machines, and I started kind of doing this service-based business, not kind of half-heartedly. I wasn't really into it, but people kept asking me when I go to service people, hey, do you do cleaning? Do you do janitorial? And I didn't. But that question kept coming up. So I said, okay, well, I can facilitate that. And that's kind of how it started. We started doing residential homes where people were inside, just cutting in and doing deep cleans. And then started making some money doing that. And I realized, well, there was a slow point around Christmas, around holidays. People started cutting costs because they want to buy gifts and other type of things. They're traveling, so they start cutting things off, which are sometimes your service-based business, whether it be your lawn care, your power washing, or your cleaning. So I realized at that point, well, I got to kind of direct myself toward trying to get commercial contracts so I can make sure I'm getting a check every month. I'm making money year long, even in the slow times. And so then I started kind of directing my focus on to going out, meeting business owners, meeting people that I could pair up with, that even if I might not do the carpet cleaning or I might not do the power wash or stripping and waxing the floors, I can utilize my relationship with them so as to work together to get these contracts and start, developing a book of business. So long and short, obviously from Huntsville, Alabama, but that's kind of how I kind of made it to where I'm at as far as just working in the janitorial service industry.
Yeah, you talked about something that's very, very important, is that you took advantage of an opportunity. Somebody presented you with an opportunity and you took advantage of it, and you kind of said it kind of half-heartedly at first, but because you said yes, other opportunities were presented. And that's key when you're talking about not just young people who are in our communities, but individuals, period. Sometimes you got to say yes so that other opportunities can come your way. And that's something that you were able to do. But you also said something and talked about your family business. I don't want to skip over that because Garden Cove was a pillar in the Huntsville community. And, I know that as a young man, you helped run that business, and the contribution that Garden Cove had to Huntsville was tremendous. Was that kind of part of the motivation to work on your own because you saw that your family did it for so long?
I never really wanted to be an employee. I was an employee for numerous different companies, but I don't think I was a good employee because I'd seen my parents being entrepreneurs, not working for anybody, working for themselves. I did see the ups and the downs, the trials, but I always did want to work for myself and be an entrepreneur. So definitely that played a big role in it. Watching them, even in great times, still working hard to develop, even in hard times, continuing to work hard. Because a lot of times people see the fruits of your labor, but they don't see the type of labor that it takes. I don't care what type of business you have. People want to see the trappings, a nice car, nice house, watch, things of that nature. They don't see the hard work, behind closed doors. It's easier to be an employee, to sit down, do your 40 hours a week, your 80 hours every 2 weeks, get your check. That's the easy route, the most comfortable route, the route of less resistance. The hardest route is trying to make something for yourself. And I think, when you were talking about saying yes to the opportunity, there's a book that I would recommend anybody to read, Think and Grow Rich, and also the 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. And in those two books by two different authors, they say the same thing. Never turn down opportunity. Even if you don't know how to do it, you can find out how to do it. Even if you don't know how to do it, you know somebody that can do it. So never say no to an opportunity and never turn down a positive opportunity. So, yes, that growing up in an entrepreneurial family, that did definitely mold me to have the drive to do something for myself, but also educating myself, reading and learning. I don't care if I don't know anything about it. If I'm presented with the opportunity and I feel that it could be beneficial to me and could grow me as a person, I'm not going to say no, unless it's going to be something that's just going to just be negative, for me.
Yeah. So I just want to just reemphasize the part of not saying no to opportunities, because again, with the world changing as it is, and services having the opportunity to be cut, we got to make sure that our residents understand that if it's a positive opportunity, they definitely got to take advantage of it. One of the things I want to talk about though is just kind of being a self-starter, man. What does it take? The cash, the skill set, the connections. What does it take to be a self-starter? In an industry where you're working for yourself, you're your own boss. What does it take?
It doesn't take much. First of all, you have to have yourself. You have to be able-bodied. You have to be driven and motivated. Don't be easily discouraged. You have to have faith in yourself and faith in God. And oftentimes, people don't realize they already have what they need. So let's just say you want to start a service business. Do you got a drill? Do you got tools? Do you know how to use them? Every day somebody needs something fixed, hung on their wall, a TV mounted. That's your business right there. You can advertise to your friends, to your colleagues, to your people on your social network, and you can say, hey, look, I'm hanging TVs. You come in here 30 minutes, $100, hang somebody's TV. Now, obviously, I don't do that, but that's just an example. If you want to do something like what I'm doing, a janitor or a cleaning company, startup cost for something like that, $1,000 max. You print you out some business cards, you get some flyers, you get you your chemicals and your materials that you needed, and then you just start marketing. Now, the truth of the matter is, if you think your friends and your family are going to be lined up to give you business, that's not the case. The people that are going to support you are probably going to be people that you might not be of the same ethnic background of you, Might not even be your friends or family, might be strangers. And that's okay, you know, but you need to find your target market, whether you want to do residential or commercial, and then you attack and you go after those individuals, you know, and you keep on going every day. What I would do when I started out, I had a couple thousand flyers printed, and I go to neighborhoods every day in the morning, and I put them on people's on people's doors. I put them on people's steps. I go to businesses and I ask for the facility manager, and I give them my card, and I get their card, and I send back follow-up emails. And I never heard anything back for the first month. And for the second month, I didn't hear anything back. But during that time, you're building your pipeline. You're getting yourself out there. You're meeting people. You're making connections. You're putting skin in the game, you know? And sooner or later, if you don't give up, you'll start seeing and reaping the reward of that time you've invested in yourself, you know?
And I like that because, again, you said something earlier, is that you talk to your friends and just people that you know, because sometimes we do some and nobody knows what we're doing. So when you develop that skill set and you think you have something that can be valuable, you got to share. You got to tell everybody what's going on, what you're doing, so that they'll know that you have a business that you want to support, that you want them to support. I was riding through a neighborhood yesterday, and a young man that I kind of watched grow up in the neighborhood. He's a mechanic now. He flagged me down and said, "Hey, Coach Tony, I just want you to know I'm a mechanic. You know, anybody you know that has a vehicle that they want me to work on, I'll give you my number. I get discount parts, so I'm not trying to charge anybody an extreme amount of money." But I think what was important about that is that he verbalized what was going on and that he had a business. And so people cannot be afraid to talk about their business. Even if your friends don't come, you got to let everybody know. They say a closed mouth don't get fed. So you got to make sure that you tell people about what's going on in your life so that they'll know how to support you. Now, what are some of the fears that you think are around owning your own business? What are some of those fears that people need to know about?
Well, it kind of goes back to what you just said, letting people know what you're doing. Sometimes when I started and I put a flyer on somebody's door, I go and I walk real quick because I didn't want anybody to see me put that flyer on that door. I didn't want to even engage with people, you know. I didn't want to tell everybody, yo, what you doing, Jeremiah? You cleaning toilets? You know, what's going on? You know, I thought you was an accountant. You know, you cleaning toilets now? We're so worried about what people think about us. You don't have to, you got to put that outside of your mind. You need to let everybody know exactly what you're doing. And not only by posting it and showing it, but by showing if you're doing cleaning company, your before and after your results. People want to see your business in action. Okay, you're doing it, but we don't see you doing it. I want to see what you're doing. Put it on social media. Put it on your website, on anything you can so people can see that you're actively pursuing this business and you're actively out there serving clients and doing a good job and documenting your progress. The fears of what other people think hold a lot of people back from greatness. It doesn't matter what people think. The only thing that matters is what God thinks and what your family thinks and what you think about yourself. So put all that to the side. The fear of failure keeps a lot of people from starting anything. It's okay to fail as long as you learn. I failed so many times. And I'm thankful for those failures because it's allowed me to hone in on the areas that I'm actually good at. Okay, I might not be good at that. Okay, I'll take that out the mix. Let me try this other thing. I've tried so many things that have failed, but that's okay because I've learned from them and being able to take those things I've learned to put into something I've been able to succeed in. And trust me, Tony, don't think for 1 second I have it all figured out because every day I'm learning. Every day I'm still making mistakes and learning from those mistakes. And I hope to never stop making mistakes because I hope to never stop learning. Okay. But I hope that the mistakes I make are smaller and smaller, you know? So the fear of making mistakes, the fear of rejection, the fear of what other people thinks, the fear of failure, Those are 4 fears that people must put outside of their mind in order to be able to strongly step forward into whatever venture or dream they're trying to make a reality.
And man, that's powerful. I used to hear an acronym that fear stands for false evidence appearing real. Sometimes we get afraid of the things that aren't even real. But if you go out there and you fail, you make a mistake, all you're doing is learning. You're increasing your knowledge base because you've had some setbacks. So I appreciate you sharing that with us. Now, talk about this for a minute, because I think, as people who live in and around our neighborhoods, they start to get these opportunities. They have to understand that, sometimes when you're your own boss, you got to make sure everybody else paid before you get paid. Have you ever had that situation? And how do you handle things like that?
I still go through that to this day. So if you're dealing with vendors and big companies and you're a small company like myself, sometimes you don't get paid on time. So that might mean you have to take and bridge the gap between your payment and what you have in your pocket to make sure these people that are working for you, that are showing up every day, that are keeping your business running, are paid on a timely manner. If you're a boss and you're employing people, which means you're actually helping them take care of their families and put food on their tables, you have to look at it like this. You don't want to be a tyrant. You want them to feel like they're a part of something. You want to not, you don't want to treat them too well, but you don't want to treat them just like a worker. You want to treat them like they are part of a family. And that's the type of environment I try to create with my small business, where if there's a small issue, they can come to me and they can talk to me and we can work together to fix this. I'm paying you a fair wage, so you respect and you value your job, so you show up on time and you go above and beyond. And when I come through and I see that things are looking great, I give you positive reinforcement. Now, when I see things are slipping, I give you constructive criticism as well, but backed with positive reinforcement, not just only verbally, but financially as well. When it comes to small bonuses and things of that nature, that endears people to you because they understand. Now they see, okay, this guy cares. He understands that I have a family at home. He understands that I have dreams and I have goals. And he understands that I don't really want to be cleaning toilets for the rest of my life. So you set them up. So look, this is our plan. This is your plan for advancement with this company. This is where I see our company going, and this is where I see you going with us in this journey. Because they want to feel like they're a part. If they don't feel like they're a part of anything, they'll leave you tomorrow for the next guy that's paying a couple dollars more. Okay?
Yeah, man, family is always important. And so I'm glad to hear that, you make your employees a part of, or feel like they're a part of family. But you also said something that I just want to kind of stay here for a minute. You coach people up. Right now, a lot of folks think that the moment somebody gives them constructive criticism or they try to coach them to do right, they feel like people are picking on them. Explain to those who may hear this what that looks like as an employer. You have a business to run, and you don't necessarily have time to babysit, but oftentimes people think that because people are really hard on them, that they're picking on them. What does that look like from a standpoint of a business owner? Just kind of being stern and making sure that employees understand, man, this is business first, and that we got responsibilities we got to take care of. How does that look for your business?
Well, and I've gotten way better at this. First of all, these are people that work for you. They're not your friends. So first of all, you gotta have that line there. However, when there's an issue, I like to come first with a compliment. So, hey, you know what? You're doing great in these areas. I really admire how you're on time, and I can always count on you making sure the supplies are stocked. I can always count on you communicating with me where there's an issue. Now on the back end, I am having some concerns about XYZ. So I give them compliment first. I build them up, and then on the back end, I say, look, everything is great except for these 1, 2, 3 things. If we can fix these, we're going to be gold. Okay, so I don't come in first with the complaints or knocking them down. I build them up, and then in love, I give them constructive criticism, and that works for me. That works for me. Even if if the roles were reversed, and I learned that from my father. Hey son, you're doing good in these areas right here, X, Y, Z, but look, you gotta tighten up here. Now, if he had told me what I was doing bad first, I wouldn't even be hearing anything. I'd be feeling a certain type of way. But because he came in love and showed me these things, hey, son, you're doing this great, you're doing this great, you're doing this great, but we need to tighten up in these areas, I was more receptive to hearing what I needed to tighten up on, okay?
Yeah, man, that's strong. I once heard somebody say rules without relationship lead to rebellion. And so I
Yeah,
can kind of respect your method because again, you gotta have a relationship, you gotta have people to work for you because you can't just do all the jobs by yourself. So building those relationships are critical for a successful business. Now, we serve residents here in Huntsville who oftentimes their income level is not as high as others around, but one of our strategic goals is to get our residents up and out so they don't have to depend so much on services through the housing authority or through other agencies. So, man, what advice would you have for an individual who just has aspiration to start their own business? Some tips that you can give them so that we can help them as they advance up and out of the system. What advice would you have for them?
okay, there's a few things. First of all, educate yourself in the area that you think you want to go into, or educate yourself in the numerous areas and then pick one. It's about what you read and what you listen to and what you pour into your mind. Oftentimes, sometimes I'll just drive and just think. Sometimes I'll drive and put on a audio book or a podcast like yours here. Positive things that will engage my mind to start thinking in the direction of where I want to head. Okay. Secondly, the circle that you keep. Now, for most of my life, you've been like a bigger brother to me, someone that I could come to when I had issues or I wanted to throw an idea off of. That's very important when you want to elevate yourself. You need someone that's doing better than you, that's more mature than you, that's more level headed than you. You need to tailor make your circle to make sure it's built around people that are all doing better than you, that you can look up to, and that you can kind of model your life or your decisions or your hustle, whatever it may be, after those people. You don't want anybody that's doing worse than you. You don't want anybody that needs something from you. Because at this point in your life, if you're trying to work up, you need people that can add value to you. And then once you get there, you got to reach back and add value to someone else. So those key things of what you pour into your mind, whether it be with reading or what you're listening to or what you're doing, and those people that you bring into your life in your circle, making sure those people are the ones that will push you and encourage you when the times are tough. Because I've had friends say, hey, Jeremiah, why don't you just give up, man? Why are you still doing this? You sure this is going to work out? And I realized at that moment, okay, this is my friend, but he don't see it. So I kind of laid off of talking to these individuals because on the hard days, I don't need to hear that from that guy. I need to call up the friend and say, look, man, I know it's tough, but you're going to make it. Keep on pushing. Keep on honing your craft. Become a master in your industry so you're someone that people call and look for answers from. And it's going to be okay because Rome wasn't built in a night. And anything that's worth something ain't easy, Tony.
Right,
Okay?
right.
Ain't
And
easy.
man, it's almost like each one teach one, right? So I can appreciate that, man. You pour into people, and good things will happen. I definitely appreciate it, and you considering me a big brother, a mentor, man. That means a lot to me. I've been there through your journey, so I can appreciate your journey, and appreciate where you are right now as a business owner. I know your mom and dad are proud of you and what you're doing. And I mean, it's not always easy to do it away from everybody else, away from home and, being in a big market that you're in. And, it's easy to fall into different traps. So I can appreciate you for just staying the course and keeping your business up and going. You shared some great nuggets, especially about how people can get started just by doing some of the things that they're good at right now. You don't take a real strong business plan to get started. You just got to get started. And hopefully, as we try to help our residents become self-sufficient, they'll understand the importance of just getting started. That's, getting started is the first part of the journey that scares a lot of people. So I hope people will hear this and understand that, man, just get started.
One thing I wanted to add to that too is if you have a clear idea of what you want to do, find someone that's doing it at a high level. Meet them, forge a relationship with them, communicate with them, and say, look, man, I'd love to work alongside you. Sometimes you might have to sacrifice and do it for free. But if you're gaining knowledge, then it's never for free. And you're able to take that knowledge back and use it to start your own thing. Find somebody, like I said, a mentor that's doing exactly what you want to do. Can I shadow you for a month? I'd like to learn everything that you know. And oftentimes, if they see that you're serious and they see the vision that you have and sees potential in you, they say, come on, yeah, you can ride with me. And don't take that lightly. Show up on time. Glean and soak up anything and everything you can out of that person. And when the time comes to separate your ways from them, you'll be able to take those valued information that you've learned from them and apply it to what you're trying to do.
Awesome. So anything else that you want to share with, if you had to look back to the, I'll say the 22-year-old Jeremiah, what would you say to that person right now who's out here, maybe just finished college, maybe didn't go to college, but what would you say to that 22-year-old Jeremiah right now?
I would say to him, develop your mind more. We do a lot of things that don't really matter. A lot of things go on in this world in our everyday activities that don't really matter. If it's not growing you and developing you as spiritually, emotionally, physically, mentally, it don't matter. Okay. So if you can take out all those things out of your life that don't matter and put into them things that matter, God, your relationship with your family, getting in the gym and working yourself out, eating good foods, reading things to develop your mental state, to make sure that you're knowledgeable on any areas or just knowledgeable to have a conversation with somebody, a random person in the airport or in the mall or in the store, to be able to have an intellectual conversation with someone that's not of your same, ethnic background. If you're able to pour these things into yourself, to mold yourself into that person at a young age, 20s, in college, when so many people are worried about things that do not matter, you'll give yourself a way further advantage than your peers. Okay. And I don't know if I said that the right way, but I think the people that need to hear that will understand it for the way I'm saying.
Exactly. They definitely will. And man, time flies when you're having good conversation, and I appreciate you for taking time out your schedule to be here with us, man. I've enjoyed it. I'm sure that those who will listen to this on the different platforms, there'll be definitely some nuggets that they'll be able to take away from this and be able to share. And man, thank you again. Any last parting words that you might have for our audience? Anything?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for having me, Tony, and to the audience or anybody that's listening. No one is better than anyone else. We all have the same 24 hours, same 7 days in a week. It's what you do with it. Anybody can be successful. Anybody can be a millionaire. The only thing that keeps you apart from that person is successful is the drive and the worth ethic and the stick-to-itiveness. If If you have an idea, if you have a goal, no matter how hard it seems, never give up. It is your duty to yourself and to your family to find a way to make it to that goal. If it's easy, everybody be doing it. And anything that's easy ain't worth it. So that's what I gotta leave you with right there, brother.
Man, that's powerful. That's enough said. So look, we've come to the end of the show. So please share this on all your social media platforms. This is just an opportunity for us to have conversations that hopefully our residents, our staff, and anybody else who subscribes to this platform, they'll be able to take some of the knowledge that we've been able to share throughout the podcast, and they'll be able to apply to their lives. Again, thank you for being here, and please share on all your platforms. This has been another great episode. We appreciate everybody. Thanks.
We've come to the end of the podcast today. Please share the link on all your social media platforms. We hope that you all will join us again next time. Until then, keep serving and keep pushing. This has been another amazing episode of Life in the Bricks podcast. Peace.